In the world of cage fighting, you expect the competitors to resemble modern-day gladiators, all bulging muscles and menacing stares. These unassuming fighters may appear harmless, perhaps even nerdy. However, once that bell rings, they transform into ruthless warriors with shocking power. In this video, we'll talk about 9 MMA fighters who look so soft and harmless that their opponents laugh their arse off when they give off that serious look during face-off. One might even consider the ring announcers capable enough to fight these MMA baby fighters. If you woke up after a night of heavy drinking next to Cody McKenzie, you'd be forgiven for thinking you'd accidentally gone home with a long-haired drifter. With his unkempt locks, wispy mustache, and general aura of not giving a damn, McKenzie looks like he'd be more at home at a Taylor Swift concert than in the UFC. But despite his unorthodox appearance and soft attitude, McKenzie was a handful for anyone at 155 pounds during his prime. The Alaskan submission specialist racked up 11 straight first-round finishes to start his career, all by way of his patented McKenzie teen choke. While his UFC tenure was a mixed bag, going 3-4 inside the octagon, McKenzie remained a fan favorite for his carefree demeanor and unorthodox style. Who could forget the time he showed up to weigh-ins wearing basketball shorts with the tag still on them? But for all his eccentricities, McKenzie was a legitimate threat on the ground. His modified guillotine choke was a thing of beauty, a technique so uniquely his own that it bore his name. Even as his career wound down with losses piling up and bizarre incidents outside the cage making headlines, McKenzie remained true to himself, a fighter who did things his way, appearances be damned. When you think of fighters with the it factor, Chase Hooper probably isn't the first name that comes to mind. With his curly mop of hair and boyish charm, the 21-year-old featherweight looks more like the lead in a coming-of-age dramedy than a professional cage fighter. But don't let the unassuming appearance fool you. Hooper is a legitimate prospect with a bright future ahead of him. A veteran of Dana White's Contender Series, the Dream has used his charm and youthful exuberance to become a fan favorite. Whether he's claiming Ben Askren as his father or calling out Jorge Masvidal for his flying knee KO, Hooper's personality shines through in a sport that often takes itself too seriously. And it's not just talk. Hooper can fight. The jiu-jitsu ace has shown flashes of brilliance in his young UFC career, even if his wins haven't always been the prettiest. But in a sport where conformity is often the norm, Hooper's willingness to be himself is a breath of fresh air. With his boyish looks and soft-spoken demeanor, Doo Ho Choi seems more likely to ask you to borrow a pencil than to knock you unconscious. But despite having the appearance of a high school yearbook photo come to life, the Korean Superboy is one of the featherweight division's most exciting young prospects. Choi burst onto the scene in 2014, rattling off 3 straight first-round knockouts over the likes of Juan Puig and Thiago Tavares. But it was his all-time classic against Cub Swanson at UFC 206 that really put the baby-faced assassin on the map. For 3 glorious rounds, the two featherweights went toe-to-toe in one of the greatest fights in UFC history. While Choi ultimately fell short that night, his stock as a future contender had never been higher. The intimidation game starts early when fighters select their walkout wardrobes. Many opt for ferocious designs aligning to nickname personas. So Junior Baby Albini already signaled contradictory expectations there. His stocky heavyweight frame packs a frightening 265-pound mass, yet playfully embraces an innocence motif. However, one truly jeopardizes the air of menace by slipping on an ill-fitted, diaper-esque fight short design resembling baby bottoms more than battle attire. Yes, a 2017 bout saw Albini uncomfortably adjusting his Reebok uniform repeatedly mid-fight, attempting to preserve mobility and dignity simultaneously. While an isolated incident fails to live down infantile associations, Albini otherwise sports legitimate aggressive abilities. Beyond garment mishaps, this Brazilian owns strong grappling skills, continuing respectfully today despite suggestions of an unintended comedy outside cage appearances. Next, we look at the perpetual smile concealing ruthless power. Few welcome violence with perpetual grins quite like middleweight Sam Alvey. Close eyes picturing bloodthirsty gladiators entering cages as hardcore music blares, adrenaline flooding senses awaiting combat. Then witness cheerful, smiling Alvey nonchalantly stroll out instead. It's almost disarming cognitive dissonance. Alvey acknowledges comparison, stating he's probably not appearance-wise the most intimidating fighter, pondering if constant joy falsely signals vulnerability, causing opponents to fatally underestimate. But whether strategic mind games or simply persona, Smilin' Sam walks the walk with 20 victories. 6 post-fight bonuses, and some truly frightening knockouts, still grinning from ear to ear. Outside the cage, Alvey manifests smiles through lighthearted carved hairstyles between fights or welcoming new babies with her wife and fellow fighter Brittany Palmer. So while maybe not looking at the intimidating part on the outside, consistent positive energy and serious skills cannot be underestimated. Speaking of which, few puzzle potential threats quite like our next complex character. Upon their 2005 Ultimate Fighter debut, Luke Kumo introduced himself distinctly from housemates. Eccentric energy practices included compass-guided chi directional alignments, resting mattresses directly on bare floors, and open embracing emotional conversations, stark contrast archetypal alpha posturing among competitors. Yet behind these new age leanings lived legitimate skills progressing Kumo into that season's finals. There, he narrowly lost a close decision, continuing a respectable 6-6 professional record with a post-fight bonus performance to boot. Outside the cage, Kumo's relatively short career hides layered intrigue and legal troubles leading to unfortunate brain trauma from excessive fights. Still, Kumo garnered loyal followings as a pioneering mixed martial artist unafraid of hiding sensitivities or shedding societal masculine expectations in pursuit of authenticity. This pressured challenging self-concepts, viewing historic fighters one-dimensionally. While exuding kindness and progressive worldviews, Luke Kumo still held abilities to aggressively finish opponents when necessary. Intrigue forever looms, recalling his boundary-breaking fortitude both inside fights and unconventional lifestyles beyond. To encounter unassuming jiu-jitsu savant Ryan Hall randomly on streets likely conjures images of studious accountants over lethal submission specialists. But behind Hall's understated look and horn-rimmed glasses lies perhaps MMA's craftiest leg-locking innovator, whose unusual entries befuddle nearly all opposing grapplers. Despite collecting piles of grappling accolades, the Danaher Death Squad member endured a humbling Ultimate Fighter Finals defeat in 2007 before resuming dominance on regional circuits for another decade, honing unorthodox style. Returning victorious to UFC in 2016, Hall's cerebral approach facilitates minimizing damage both physically and psychologically rather than aggressively pursuing finishes at all costs. Hall acknowledges having Tourette's likely further separates him from archetypal hyper-masculine warriors, yet he offers universal respect while forging his own unique identity as a competitor. Recent frustrations securing bouts imply intimidated contenders avoid the soft-spoken technician, viewing high risk as low reward. But researching documented successes quickly dispels doubting Hall's elite credentials, warranting top 5 contention conversations. Initially scanning bantamweight John the Magician Dodson, one observes an ever-smiling 5'3" bundle gliding to cages and bobbing along to music without a care. Such a cheery demeanor hardly intimidates the profound power blasting from reckless left hands shortly forthwith. Debuting on Ultimate Fighter Season 14 amongst the smallest competitors, casual audiences underestimated Dodson early. But he exploded through that tournament, besting multiple future champions via crushing knockouts against perceived favorable style matchups. Well-rounded skills complemented rifle left hands, peppering title pursuits against Mighty Mouse and Dominic Cruz afterwards. Entering potential retirement stages nearing 40, Dodson still conjures threats, dropping elite contenders, punctuating prerogatives, securing late career gold, with legendary staying power built through a good-natured work ethic. Discussing pioneers, one cannot exclude equally legendary women's MMA trailblazer Roxanne Modafferi. Observing the happy warrior interacting outside fights, immense warmth radiates, nullifying even an inkling of stereotypical aggression. Behind disarming diplomacy lives Hall of Fame tenure tracing early Zuffa conquests through Invicta title glory before returning as esteemed UFC early leader. Noted strength and conditioning deficits Modafferi now addresses meant she frequently entered fighting physically outgunned. But consummate spirit soldiering on created bona fide sympathy and inspiration given pioneering efforts. Against Macy Barber, Modafferi hesitated, exploiting injured knees mid-clash when others swarmed aggressively. Known for mentoring the next generations, Modafferi focuses time on writing children's books, aiming to raise confidence and literacy. So while certainly not appearing intimidating, Modafferi's legacy commands the utmost respect as an MMA legend ahead of her time, breaking barriers and enabling waves that follow. That's all for today. Did we miss out on some other MMA fighters who can fit into this list? Tell us in the comments. Till then, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and press the bell icon to never miss an update. Till then, see ya!